Caleb with the Antique Book Collective, and today I would just like to tell you guys right up front, I stand corrected. Now, this isn't for something that I have sold my soul on and know for a fact, oh yeah, I was right in the very beginning. This is something that I was saying as more of a tip in the very beginning of my channel, actually. So at the very beginning, I was saying, yeah, so you might want to avoid doing cookbooks. You might want to avoid selling cookbooks because there's not always a lot of money in it. And with that being said, I will admit I actually do buy and sell cookbooks sometimes. And in fact, I actually just sold a very large shipment of them, and I bought them for $10, this set of cookbooks, and I just sold them for $250, which, if you guys are playing along, is a pretty good profit margin. So without further ado, I'm just going to dive right on in. Alright, so first things first, here's just a picture of the set. It's a little artsy of a picture. I thought it looked nicer than just stacking them all. So here's the picture. And here's another picture right here of the books themselves. This is just one of the editions in the copy. Next picture that we're seeing right now. Yeah, I know I'm doing like a weird doing a weird slideshow presentation of pictures today, I guess. I don't know. But here's the picture of my particular things. So as you can see, I paid $10 for this. I got it in a book sale. So it says MCMIN, which is short for McMinnville, which is a city in Oregon. It's actually a book sale that I've been to a couple of times. As you can see at the top of the sticky note, I say what the books are and how many there are in the lot. That's just for filing for me when I'm grabbing the books. It makes it a whole lot easier for me to do. And then beneath that, it says the list price that I started out with. It's what I was initially sort of hoping for, but wasn't entirely sold on getting. As I've said in other videos, guys, I don't get my full list price a lot of the times. I accept best offers like so often because the best offers ensure that I get the sale. Yeah, I could have made a little bit more money with this one, and honestly, I probably could have talked the person up to $300. But at the end of the day, I'm not too sad because I got $250 instead of the almost $400. But again, $250 is pretty stinking good. And again, I paid $10, guys. I'm not too worried. So next thing, once you go under the list price, you see that it says Sev Med, which is just short for several medium. I like doing the shorthand things when I'm doing these things because it just helps me get along faster, do stuff a little faster. So once I got all that, in the bottom right hand corner, you can see when I listed these books. So as you can see, it was September of 2021, and that means that I've had these books listed for a few months now because this is now February when I just sold them. And yes, I will admit I actually did hold on to these books for a little while, but I'm not actually too worried about that because as you can tell, I was asking a little bit higher than what I sold it for. There is a lot of times when you're asking the higher premiums that you won't sell the books right away. That's just something you guys sort of have to figure. It's what you have to be okay with because at the end of the day, that's something you sort of have to just decide as your business model. Do you want to sell it right away or do you want to potentially hold out for the higher premium? When you guys are first starting out with your store, I highly recommend you sell it for the lower things just to get it sold faster so you can get reviews, get your feedback faster because people like buying stuff from people that they can see have done good sales before. So you'll want to sell a little bit faster, and on top of that, you'll get your money back faster so you can reinvest. But for me, at this point in my business, I'm not too worried about getting the money back right away because I don't need the money back right away in order to continue my business and to grow my business. I have enough money on all my different accounts for all this whole stuff to make sure that I can continue basically indefinitely because I am doing pretty stinking well with it. So with all that said and done, I just have a cool little thing that I really wanted to ask you guys. So as you can see on my sticky note, there are 23 different books in this little lot. So how much do you think these 23 books weighed? If you guys want to guess, I'd love to have it down in the comments. I'm just going to give you like another 2 seconds to do it, but these books were a little bit heavier than other lots of books that I've sold before. But again, I mean, they were rather large books. That's why I had my hand in most of the pictures, was to show that these books were a little bit larger. And they were made with like heavier everything. Like they definitely don't feel like newer books because like newer books are made to weigh like not anything at all, but older books or well-made books, they are heavy. And because they're heavy, they tend to last very well. And when I ended up packing all these books, which I'll have a picture of at the very end, once they were all packed in their boxes, the total weight of this entire set was almost 60 pounds. And that's a lot of weight. And if I was shipping anything except for media mail, that would have cost me a whole lot of money. But I was shipping media mail, so that ended up costing me just a little over $40. And believe it or not, I didn't have to pay that because I did buyer pays shipping. So I didn't have to pay that 40 some dollars. The buyer paid that. and it worked out very well for me because I got to pocket the $250 minus the eBay expenses, and I'll go on to the eBay expenses in another video most likely, because eBay expenses are something you need to worry about as a business owner, especially an eBay business owner. However, it's not something I like to treat as the end of the world sort of thing that a lot of people talk about, because for me, when I think about eBay expenses, it's the same exact category as I put my taxes in. So taxes and eBay expenses, I don't have to pay either of them unless I have sales, except there are some listing expenses and that sort of stuff for eBay. But by and large, you don't have to pay this until you get your sale. And when you get your sale, that means that you just brought in this much money. So to think that you have to lose a little bit once you did it, it's like, whoop-de-doo. I mean, I know I would have rather kept all the extra money. I would have rather not had to pay taxes, not had to pay the eBay expenses, all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, guys, it's just the cost of doing business, and it's not a cost that you have to pay up front. And not having to pay it up front makes it so it's a really low barrier to entry for a lot of people that are just starting out. So that said and done, I really recommend, guys, don't be so scared about it, because it's really not the worst thing that could happen. So next picture you guys are seeing right now is just the first book of this set that I packaged up. As I've said in my other videos, I wrap them in butcher paper, I throw my little sticker on them, and then I just put them all away, and I do a little stack of them, and I put a stack into a box, and I make sure that box is well padded with more butcher paper. I like to do the butcher paper because it's all the eco-friendly stuff, it's recycled, all that sort of stuff. And as I've said in other videos, it's not just because of all that, it's also because it just really, really, really looks good for old books or even sets of books. Like, you can either get your books wrapped in a big old plastic sleeve, and it's like, oh, this is cool, it looks new, or you can get it wrapped in paper, and it's like, ooh. And when you're opening it, it's like Christmas, and you're like, ooh, this is fun. And whereas plastic, it's like, oh, I can see through. It's not very exciting. I don't know. That's just sort of my thing. So next picture you guys can see now is, I know it's sort of weird to see what it is, but that's a butcher paper roll that you guys are looking at, and it's one that just ran out of paper. And that leads me to the next very important thing that you guys definitely have to consider and definitely have to keep in mind when you're doing your eBay business is make sure you have an extra stock of things on hand. So for me, when I was first starting out, I would run out of butcher paper, and then I'd have to go to the store and get some more if I didn't have any on hand. And that was an entire trip that I didn't have to do if I was actually being smart, but I'm not always doing the smartest stuff. So I actually had to go to the store, buy the paper, all that sort of stuff. But since I've been able to have my business going for a while, since I have more money, all that sort of stuff, I'm able to buy a bunch of paper on all at once, get a good bulk discount for those things. And actually, believe it or not, sometimes when I go to estate sales, I actually can find butcher paper and other packing things that I need for my business. I can find them at estate sales, so I get to buy them at the estate sale value, which is like down here, as opposed to like if I was buying it new, it'd be up here. So the butcher paper that I ended up using to finish out this entire lot of books that I was selling, set of books, whatever, I was actually using just estate sale paper, which is pretty nice for me, because instead of paying the normal $10 or more for a butcher paper roll, it was just like $1 for 4 rolls. So I was like, I can't go wrong with that. That just lowered my expenses, which means my profits got to go higher. So that said and done, guys, be sure to get extra butcher paper. I have a link to butcher paper I recommend down on my Facebook page, which is down in the description. But with that said and done, on to the next little thing. So as you can see here in this picture, I have just a stack of the ones that have already been wrapped next to all the unwrapped ones. Next picture that we're looking at now is how I had to wrap them. So for me, these estate sale butcher paper rolls that I got were actually a lot longer than the normal ones I use. The normal ones are, I'm going to say, about yay wide. So I don't know, what is that, 2.5 feet-ish? Whereas these ones from the estate sale were probably, I'm gonna say like 3.5 feet or something. I mean, it was pretty long paper, like wide, and because of that, I was actually able to do 2 of these books, and these books were like this long. So stack 2 of them, and I was able to wrap them all individually. It was really nice and simple. So once I did that, I continued wrapping the books, as you can see in this next little picture, which I think is a pretty cool looking picture. I don't know why, it just sort of appeals to me because it looks nice. And in the background of that, you can see the first box that I already packed up next to all the other books that I was packaging. I ended up in my first box, I stacked it from bottom to top with just solid books, and because of that, it was 25 pounds. And 25 pounds, guys, I know it doesn't sound like a lot of weight, but when you're dealing with a lot of books, you should honestly try to like keep the weight at like 20 or a little bit below that, because people aren't always strong enough to carry 25 pounds. That's just something you guys might want to keep in mind. So don't make it so your buyers have to carry too much. So for me, I definitely overfilled that one, and for the next two boxes that I end up filling, I did one at 20 pounds and the other one was 13 pounds because I was just finishing out that set of books. I wish I parsed things out into equal things because I don't know, that would have been like 18 pounds each roughly. I don't know the exact math, but somewhere in there. And that would have been a little bit more manageable than having one that's 25, one 20, and one that is 25, one that is 20, and one that was 13. It would have been nice to have them all similar weight and none of them being too heavy. So I know 25, again, doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, guys, it definitely can be a lot for people. So when you're doing it, be sure to give your buyer a little heads up and be like, hey, this box was 25 pounds, just a heads up. I don't know. And on to the next thing. This picture here, as you guys can see, is all the box loaded up. So I know I have sort of like bigger hands than most people, but the boxes I'm using now are about a span wide and a little over span deep. So that allowed me to get all the books in this whole set in just 3 boxes. 3 boxes was pretty manageable for me. I mean, I could carry them all. I would say no sweat, but it actually was a little bit difficult because, as I've mentioned in other videos, I had to go up 2 flights of stairs, which is a few stairs to go up and down with a giant pile of books. It doesn't matter how heavy they are. If it's a giant pile, it's a lot of books to deal with. So I went up in one trip because I'm crazy like that, and then the next day I had them all shipped out, which was pretty nice. In another video that I will be linking to probably right here, I think it's right here at the end of the video, I will be explaining how to list multiple, how to send out multiple boxes in just one shipment. That is something that you guys definitely want to consider if you are doing antique books or books in general. Anything that will require to be shipped out in multiple boxes, you will need to watch this video because that video will walk you guys through how you can do that, because eBay doesn't make it the easiest to send out multiple boxes for one shipment, but they do have a way to do it, and you guys do want to do it all through eBay, because that makes it so everything is like automatically put onto eBay's tracking. It's automatically all these things, and eBay has a nice thing where you can get a little bit of a discount, or at least a sort of okay discount. I find that it's normally a little bit less than what I get at the post office, but when you do it through eBay, you get just that discount, and it is just nice to have just a little bit less money that you have to pay. And because I was doing media mail, it made sure the shipment cost wasn't very much to begin with, so I was doing all that, and it was really simple. And again, in that video, I will be explaining how to do all of that. So without further ado, on to the next little thing about this. So when you ship multiple boxes, I'm going to go over this in the video I already talked about 10 times, but I will be telling you guys what you should probably do to your buyer. So what I like to do whenever I do anything with the buyers that is not like a totally standard thing is I make sure I tell them everything. Like if I'm doing multiple boxes, I'll tell them how many boxes, and because one of the boxes was heavier, 25 pounds, I gave them the heads up for that. I like to be sure that I tell my buyers everything, because then nothing catches them by surprise, and surprised buyers are in most cases more apt to give you bad reviews, so it's something you should do to make sure you don't get bad reviews. Now, don't over talk about everything, like keep things simple, but don't make it so they get a big bad surprise at the very end. Like if you put in an extra bonus book and that's the surprise, maybe you shouldn't tell them. Maybe they should have that surprise just waiting for them, and then they'll be like, wow, I got a free book, this is cool. But for other things, definitely keep that in mind. So with all that said and done, let me just check something really quick. All right, so I'm going to go back to just use your memory right here. So remember how on my book I had that white little sticker on it? So that sticker, it says happy reading, and I have used different designs over the years that I've been doing this for just a nice little thing that I put onto my butcher paper that just looks nice, and it sort of gives you a little more of a small town vibe sort of thing, like a, oh, this is a small seller, they care sort of thing. And because of that, I really enjoy putting these stickers on. I mean, it gives people an extra little this is cool feeling. So I've done happy reading, I've done enjoy, I've done all these different things, and I do all these with a Dymo label printer. And I know it's really weird to think that I can do this all with just a little printer, and I know it's weird to think that just this little sticker can be all the difference, but I have found that it does make a difference, and it does make people like me more, and it's all these cool things. And while I don't recommend doing what I did with this particular set and wrapping every single book individually, when you're selling individual books, or maybe 1 or 2 books, it definitely is nice to wrap the books up. Again, when you're doing larger sets, it probably isn't best to wrap them all individually. So for me, I spent a long time wrapping all these, and in fact, I actually changed how I'm going to be wrapping my books from now on. So I have been using, in one of the pictures, I had just this little tape thing, you know, the normal tape things that you just I have been using those for the longest time, and I finally ran out of tape on that, and I am so happy for it because that tape did not stick on all of my butcher paper. It stuck on some of them, but other times it didn't. And with me, with this newest butcher paper I've been using, it didn't stick very well, so I had to use a bunch of it, and I've just been hating this tape this entire time. And I've been working on it for a while now, and it finally ran out. And I have decided, even before it ran out, I was like, all right, I'm going to get this nice quality what's this stuff called? The white paper. Brain fart. But I've been using the normal clear tape for the longest time. Actually, this tape is a little more opaque that I have been using. But I have been using it, and I think it's masking tape that I've used. I can't remember for sure. I'm sorry, guys. But I finally was able to go on to like this new masking tape, which is like the white stuff, and I finally started using that, and what I'm using is like this extra strength one, and man, guys, that works so much better. So when you guys are doing your business, be sure to shop around for tapes. I know this sounds really random, but shop around for tape. You will find a tape that you just adore like a million times better, and for me, this is the particular tape that I love. So I'm actually going to be linking to that also in my recommended materials page if I can find it. It actually might be a little bit hard to find, so might have to find a comp for it that is something nice and similar to it. But guys, I highly recommend you find a good tape to use if you are wrapping your books in butcher paper like me or anything else, because it does make the difference if your books are all coming unwrapped as the buyer gets them. It's not the same as if it comes wrapped and they have to tear it open. It's just a little bit of a nice touch to have it so it's actually all together. And for me, I'm sort of annoyed that I wasn't making this change sooner. I mean, I'm sort of frustrated with myself for that, but at the same time, I mean, I'm a little cheap, guys. I'll admit, I am a cheap person sometimes. So I was like, I'm gonna get my money's worth out of this. I'm gonna do this, and I know in the long run, I probably am going to continue kicking myself. But now that I've finally been able to make the change, it's something I really enjoy. So guys, one more thing, as I was saying, don't skimp. Like, I know I skimped, so don't do what I did, but there are definitely things you can skimp on and things that you shouldn't. For me, I definitely should not have skimped on the tape, because there were a lot of times I had to rip the tape off, put on new tape. Sometimes I had to redo all the butcher paper, and that represented, over the time that I was doing this tape, I was probably wasting hours and hours of time, and those hours and hours of time represents, like, for me, I find that my minimum wage, if I'm actually really working, like not minimum wage, but hourly wage, when I'm actually working on this antique book business, is at least $100 an hour, at least. So when I'm wasting hours and hours fiddling with a stupid roll of tape because I'm cheap, I'm actually losing a lot of money in the long run. So I could have went and bought the new tape and started using the new tape and been able to save hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Instead, I was paying attention to my, I don't know, $1 roll of tape that I was too skimpy on. So yeah, it's something I do regret, and there are a lot of things that I've done over the years that I do regret. But at the end of the day, guys, I mean, it's in the past. It's not something I'm going to go back to, but it is something you guys definitely need to consider. Don't do what I did. Sometimes you guys just need to bite the bullet and spend, instead of $1 for your tape, spend $5 for your tape. Because for me, I wasted a lot of tape because it wouldn't stay stuck, so I had to get new tape. Whereas if you're getting the right tape in the beginning, you're not wasting your time, and you're not wasting the whole, oh, this tape didn't work, set it aside, get me a new tape, and that sort of stuff. So yeah, guys, I know I might not be doing the best all the time, but I try to do the best I can most of the time, even when I'm trying to be skimpy. So with that said and done, guys, don't be skimpy like me. Sometimes you gotta bite the bullet. Sometimes you gotta pay a little bit more. And if you guys don't want to support the channel, don't use my links down in the description, because that's up to you guys. But if you guys do want to support me, those are affiliate links to Amazon, and that does help me, and that does help me keep the channel going. So with all that said and done, guys, be sure to check out this video. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'm actually going to be doing a couple more videos on these cookbooks and journals, so I will see you guys in the other ones.